Hi, my name is Robert Muke. Today might be my last day of freedom because in the following report, both concise and controversial, I'm going to disclose a secret you have never heard about before. I'm going to reveal to you an amazing natural healing method that was developed by a former Intercosmos researcher that may help anyone get rid of dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems for good in as little as 14 days. It won't take you more than 15 minutes every day to put the methods into practice. Just 15 minutes per day on your self-treatment means that within 4 hours in total of therapy, and your dizziness, vertigo, and any other balance problems are completely gone. This secret therapeutic protocol used in astronauts' training schemes won't cost you a dime. It doesn't involve the latest drugs, visits to doctors, expensive re-education sessions, or complex testing. Just keep watching this report right now. Just a few months ago, it was almost impossible to get access to this treatment protocol. The reason why it has been kept under lock and key is obvious. I think that even a 5-year-old would figure out the situation if he or she found out that nowadays dizziness, vertigo, and balance problems have become a mass phenomenon, surpassed in frequency and cost according to national and international medical statistics by migraines and headaches only. Nearly 90 million Americans, or more than 1/3 of the population, report bouts of dizziness at some point in their lives according to the studies from the National Institute of Health. 1 in 3 people will experience dizziness or imbalance during their lifetime. There are an estimated 5 to 8 million physician visits for dizziness in the United States each year. Therefore, can you imagine how much is spent on medical services, medication, and difficult surgical interventions, on healthcare in general? I'll tell you, it's somewhere around many billion every year, and when it comes to talking about a lot of money, there are plenty of secrets too, don't you think? Vertigo and dizziness are 2 of the fastest-growing health search terms on Google, according to David Pothier, an internal ear specialist and researcher at Toronto's University Health Network. Do you know why? Diagnosing the cause of dizziness and balance problems is notoriously difficult. The vestibular system is really just a string of microscopic hairs at the end of cells, inaccessibly encased in bone, beyond the reach of biopsy or current imaging technology. Accurate diagnosis requires both specialized equipment, which many healthcare institutions lack, and specialists willing to invest inordinate amounts of time puzzling over patient charts and test results. But wait, there's more. Most chronic vestibular disorders don't respond to medication, and there currently isn't a way to regenerate human inner ear cells, the scientists say. But they can't hide the truth from you anymore. Now is the time for you to find out that everything you have known about the causes and treatments for dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems is completely wrong. From today onward, the truth works for you. And I'm not kidding when I say this, because a strange and eventually happy experience that started as unhappy as it can get has helped me get a hold of this incredible scientific research-based method of treatment. It may help you get rid of dizziness, vertigo, and any other balance problems for good in only 2 weeks. Yes, you heard right, in just 14 days. The method will help you get rid of any balance disorders. It will take you as little as 15 minutes every day to put the method into practice. 100% sure disappearance of all these troubles is now possible thanks to my therapeutic protocol that does not involve drugs, does not require expensive treatments or surgical interventions, and has no side effects. If you suffer from poor balance, BPPV, vestibulopathy, labyrinthitis, vestibular neuritis, tinnitus, traumatic brain injury, or Meniere's disease. If you complain of vertigo associated with migraines, fatigue, anxiety, stress, weight loss diets, panic attacks, but especially if dizzy when traveling by car, plane, or boat. If you have dizzy spells in the morning when getting out of bed or when bending forward and then suddenly lifting your head. If you get dizzy after reading or spending too much time on your computer. If you experience balance problems every time you spin a little, then you should be all eyes and ears on this report. Watch and listen more. All of these extremely unpleasant problems can now be fully resolved by yourself, alone, in the comfort of your home, without expensive visits to the doctor, audiologist, pharmacist, or surgeon. You can get rid of dizziness without complex and expensive medical tests and procedures such as blood pressure tests, both lying down and standing up, blood tests, auditory tests, vision tests, CTs, MRI scans of your head, electronostagmography or ENG, VNG, or rotational chair testing. You'll soon realize that this isn't magic. This isn't snake oil or a big conspiracy. On the contrary, this is a well-documented, scientific research-based natural therapeutic protocol designed to treat and not only to alleviate dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems for good in just 14 days. I've noticed that most people label dizziness as being a minor or benign condition. Frankly, dizziness and vertigo don't seem all that benign to me. That's because I have, unfortunately, experienced them firsthand, and I know how much suffering they cause. I'm sure that you, and millions of other people who complain of dizziness and vertigo every day, as I once did, are in a constant state of depression and hardly in the mood for anything. You always live in fear of a sudden emergence of a new episode of balance loss. You expect it to happen any time, especially at the most inappropriate moments. Your life has become a nightmare. I know this. I have experienced that. It feels like the floor is sliding from underneath you. You have no control of your balance. You worry that you're going to fall over. The world around you loses its contours and colors mix. All of that increases your feeling of fear. The purely terrifying feeling that reality will get out of control increases your anxiety. You try to tell yourself not to be afraid, although you still fear the moment when you lose direction, when you're not feeling safe on your feet. Instantly, you break out in a cold sweat and a foul, awful taste floods your mouth. You're nauseous and you feel like you're going to throw up, yet you're afraid you'll fall over in a pool of your own vomit. Things are spinning around you faster and faster, and you feel you should close your eyes, even close them instinctively, but then you realize it's worse. When traveling by car, it's a so-so experience. Your family got accustomed to you, and they help you calm down by opening the window or the driver slows down or even stops. It's ridiculous, I know, but not dangerous. But what do you do when out shopping alone, or when you're out for a walk in the park with your wife or children? When you have an attack and you feel the world is spinning around you, when you can't stand anymore and you instinctively feel the urge to sit down. People are staring at you, and they don't understand what is happening, and you can't explain anything to anybody. You're white as a sheet. What else can you say? If you had broken an arm, it would make sense, or if you had a cut wound. People would see a swollen hand or the blood flowing. They would understand. But now, it's different. Dizziness is something subjective. Only you know the state you're in, since there's nothing to be seen from the outside. You are already tired of fear. Fear of the embarrassing moments when it's imperative to rely on somebody with your arm or even your entire body, because the vertigo has got a hold of you and you feel the imminence of falling over. You're terrified by the thought that you can suddenly fall on the street and get hurt with people around you thinking you're probably drunk. I know about it. I've been there. Everything you feel makes your life miserable, and you've had enough. You're always tired, you begin to have difficulty walking, suffer from depression, and have no interest whatsoever in daily routines. Before long, your work is affected. There's no joy in living left for you. Therefore, what would you say if I told you that all of these health problems in your life are over? In the next few minutes, you'll discover how all of the unpleasant symptoms that have made your life bitter for so long can actually completely disappear. Also, I want you to find out now the truth about the latest drugs aimed at restoring balance, and about the surgical interventions too. You'll find out why those options won't help you at all. They would end by totally ruining your health. Even if it looks impossible, I will show you how, using my treatment plan, over 41,430 people like you have regained their balance control and gotten rid of dizziness and vertigo in just 14 days. And the good news is that my secret therapeutic protocol is proven to work. Whether you have just had your first crisis or you've had more episodes of this kind, whether a doctor has seen you or not, whether you're male or female, in your teens or over 65 years old, it's time you say goodbye, not only to the dizziness you feel when bending forward and then suddenly lifting your head, but to morning sickness too. Say farewell to dizziness that occurs after you spin a little, to sickness due to wearing the wrong glasses, to lightheadedness during pregnancy, or to dizziness occurring when traveling by car, boat, or plane. You can say goodbye to vertigo and nausea associated with Meniere's disease or migraines. You will bid farewell to dizziness associated with fatigue, stress, weight loss diets, or panic attacks. You'll stay away from the army of medical specialists, away from physiotherapists, hearing therapists, audiologists, otologists, otolaryngologists, physical therapists, ENT doctors, nurses, dietitians, and sometimes neurologists dealing with your balance disorders. You will stay away from drugs. Many courageous doctors have admitted that medication is harmful in the long run. You know. You will stay away from surgical procedures. Besides being extremely expensive, they're dangerous too. Surgical treatment of BPPV, by the way, is not easy. Your local ear doctor will probably not have any experience at all with this operation. Chasing the almighty dollar, famous surgeons recommend all sorts of complex interventions such as vestibular nerve sections, transtympanic gentamicin treatments, posterior canal plugging, labyrinthectomies, and sacculotomy. However, all of these are extremely dangerous procedures and reduction or loss of hearing is to be expected. According to the American Academy of Otolaryngology, a variety of complications occur relatively frequently following surgery. There's no guarantee that the operation won't fail, causing total deafness. Not in months or in years, but in just 14 days with less than 15 minutes per day to apply my risk-free method, you can now say goodbye to all your balance problems for good, not just temporarily. Your family and friends will be shocked to see you wanting to leave the house again, to enjoy long walks together in the park, or going for a ride by bike or car. Your doctor will be shocked to hear you saying you've gone out shopping alone again, and that now you never feel dizzy at all during the span of a typical day. Your coworkers will be shocked to see that you no longer need to hold on to furniture or touch the walls when moving around the office. All the people you know will be shocked by your regained appetite for life, because everyone will see you are no longer apathetic and obnoxious. If you read this report until the end, you will realize how easy it is to get rid of balance problems, dizziness, and vertigo in as little as 14 days. And it won't take you more than 15 minutes a day to put my method into practice. The amazing therapeutic protocol that I'm talking to you about was devised by a man who worked as a researcher for Intercosmos, where he was involved in the astronaut training and mission preparation. Currently, he's just one of many experts in our country. But I've rarely met someone with such an intense desire to help people change the world as he has. Many professionals with the same work experience made a choice a long time ago and sided with the system. He did not. He has dedicated his life to science and to the endeavor of helping people in their time of suffering. It's not the money he's after. He's earned enough, he says, when he worked for Intercosmos. He doesn't need more money. He has everything he ever dreamed of, except fame. And that is why he's tried for years to have his remarkable discovery published in dozens of medical journals. But the big publishers rejected his work repeatedly. Why? According to Vestibular Disorders Association, by 2020, the annual cost for balance disorders, dizziness, and vertigo treatment is expected to reach $54.9 billion. A real treasure, a wellspring of money for the medical system. A good enough reason for them to try to sweep under the carpet this revolutionary method of treatment, which has never come to the general public's attention until now. So what are others saying about this secret dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems protocol? Out of the blue nearly 3 years ago, I was talking to a colleague at work and suddenly felt like I was going to fall over and had to grab part of the doorframe to continue the conversation. It was a frightening experience and one that stayed with me off and on for quite a few months. The medication prescribed made no difference to how I felt. I applied this wonderful yet simple healing protocol for 2 weeks, less than 15 minutes each day. And now, 2 years on, I'm back driving or shopping alone and have a good quality of life without the help of medication or doctors. Larry Jones, Dayton, Ohio. At first, when told that I would get rid of my health problems in as little as 2 weeks, I shrugged my shoulders. I had been having vertigo for 6 months at the time. 4 doctors had seen me already, and the medications they prescribed made me feel even worse. I thought there was no life for me anymore, as I couldn't drive, I was scared to go anywhere and had given up seeing friends because the vertigo was getting worse. And when I got tingling on one side, the moment the dizzy spell started, I decided that this protocol is worth a try. After 7 days of treatment, I felt I was nearing the end of my journey with this dreaded condition. It took me just 2 weeks to become myself again. No dizzy spells during the day, no sea legs since. I'm currently not taking any medication, just healthy eating and exercise. I hope other people will trust this method like I did. My experience is a proof that this protocol really works. Paula James, Cincinnati. I had undiagnosed recurrent vertigo and there was little to be done, the doctor said. In desperation, some weeks ago I went to a friend of mine who had previously told me about this method, but at the time, unfortunately, my choice was not to believe her. I implored her to tell me about it, tears in my eyes. In as little as 14 days, with simple things to be done in 15 minutes of self-treatment time every day, my vertigo disappeared. It was, and it is, bliss. Clarice Magnuson, Gary, Indiana. So how great is that? Unfortunately, like many other people in my situation, I had to endure months of suffering until I came across this therapeutic protocol. You're probably wondering how. I am not a doctor, nor have I ever worked for Intercosmos, although I admit I would have liked to. As I told you, my name is Robert Muke, and I'm a real estate agent. As part of my job, I'm always in motion showing homes to prospective buyers. I have to go far beyond any customer expectations, so it's easy for you to imagine how embarrassed I was one day when all of a sudden, I felt the floor was slipping away from beneath me. Within seconds, I thought I was going to fall over. My client that day was a very kind lady. She asked me if I was all right and offered me a glass of water. What could I say to her? I apologized. I was white as a sheet and had to sit down. I felt nauseous. All the objects in the house were dancing around me. The colors got mixed and my ears kept ringing. I blamed the hot weather, stress, and thought I'd been overworking for weeks. Just 2 days passed and another attack followed, stronger this time. I had to spend almost a quarter of an hour sitting down on a chair before going back to business. I wanted to hide my face in shame. My client that day wasn't kind to me at all. In fact, he told me to cut back on alcohol. He left and I quickly ate a chocolate bar, convinced that my dizzy spells were caused by bouts of hypoglycemia. And things went from bad to worse in a matter of days. Every single morning when I left home to go to work, I only wondered at what time of the day I would have another attack. Those attacks that came on like lightning out of the blue scared the hell out of me. I came to get 2 or 3 a day, every day, and I couldn't eat or sleep well. I felt depression was taking a hold of me. At work, I started to become grumpy and nervous. I even postponed meetings with clients, apologizing and telling them that I couldn't find the homes to fit their needs and tastes. Worried that I was going to be fired soon, I eventually had to confess to my wife, and she sent me to see a doctor urgently. I took a few days off. I was convinced there was something wrong with me. I thought those dizzy spells and constant nausea were signs of a brain tumor. The thought kept on bothering me. Cancer. Oh God, I was in a constant state of panic. In a couple of weeks, I went to see a lot of doctors, and they had me tested for every suspicion they had, which exceeded my health insurance by far, and unfortunately, we had to spend even our little financial reserve too. Then the doctors told me that my condition was probably the result of an inner ear problem and that I needed surgery. Until that moment, I had gobbled pills. Lots of pills. Oddly enough, rather than comfort me, they only made me feel worse. I had a constant feeling of dryness in my mouth. I felt like there was a tight band around my head causing pressure. And I constantly had heart palpitations. It was as if somebody put a weight on my chest at night for me to feel its strong pressure during the day. I had trouble sleeping at night, although I felt sleepy most of the day. My head constantly hurt, I started to lose weight, and my stomach ached even when I hadn't eaten a bit for hours. The doctors kept on reassuring me, telling me that there was nothing to worry about and that my symptoms were a sign the body was working. However, it seemed that my body had not worked well enough, and there I was facing surgery. Desperate for cash, I borrowed $8,650 from the bank to pay for a so-called revolutionary surgical intervention meant to restore my balance both literally and figuratively. Having no idea whatsoever about the risks involved when having surgery, my naivety made me believe that everything was going to be just fine after the operation. But I was wrong again. I was deeply disappointed after surgery. I didn't notice any improvement. In fact, it was the other way around. A few days after the procedure, I got an inner ear infection. For a long period of time, I took antibiotics. I had to stay longer in the hospital for continuous medical monitoring, but worse than that, I soon realized that my dizzy spells hadn't disappeared, nor the vertigo and the nausea. I felt like I needed to cry out of both frustration and anger, but I calmed down and thanked the Lord when I heard that other people that had undergone surgery got the worst of it. They became completely deaf. I was released from the hospital and I spent the following days at home lying on the couch in the living room or on the bed for hours. I was already too afraid to go out even in the backyard to play with the dog, let alone go to work again. And here is where my story gets a little weird. When he heard what had happened to me, one of my former clients whom I helped to buy a beautiful home at a reasonable price came to visit. He recommended that I go and see the man I'm going to name for confidentiality reasons, and you know what I mean when I say that, Mr. Vertigo. Perhaps you've not heard of him, nor had I before going to meet the man. Anyways, as I had nothing more to lose, I decided that a few bucks more for an extra opinion wasn't going to ruin me, and so I asked my wife to drive me to Mr. Vertigo's house. He owns a beautiful and comfortable home furnished with taste in a quiet residential quarter. A valuable property, I said to myself, looking at it with my expert eyes. I started to explain my situation while he was studying my medical documents and test results. He put them aside and listened with patience and understanding all that I had to say. Then Mr. Vertigo told me something very eye-opening. Most vertigo, dizziness, and balance problems are not caused by the inner ear, as we all thought until now. Millions of Americans are still suffering with nausea, vomiting, room spinning, and fear of falling, and believe their inner ear problems are the cause. We've been told that story so many times that it's now so deeply ingrained in our minds that we take it for granted. It seems obvious. It seems manifestly true. But the real cause of vertigo and dizziness lies elsewhere. In my view, this explanation about the inner ear is just another lie perpetrated on us by the doctors, as justification for the 5 to 8 million physician visits for dizziness in the United States each year, only to give a justification for spending more billions of dollars on expensive surgical procedures. The truth is, very few doctors have the specialized training and the experience to take your symptoms seriously, to take a big-picture approach, to leave no stone unturned. Worse, the medications just plain don't work. Medications are prescribed to 61 to 89% of patients seen for dizziness in the primary care setting, and the treatment appears to be beneficial only to a minority of patients. The most commonly prescribed medications for dizziness have significant side effects that may put the balance-disordered patient at a higher risk for falling. They also cause a significant reduction in mental performance tasks and reaction time, as well as increased levels of drowsiness. As a former researcher for Intercosmos, Mr. Vertigo knows more about the true root cause of balance disorders and has by far a greater level of expertise in their treatment than any other living human being. At the time he was working there, he noticed that over 50% of the astronauts, though healthy, young, and in tip-top shape, suffered from space motion sickness during the early days of their training sessions. He also noticed that their hearts, muscles, and bones began to weaken. Mr. Vertigo is convinced that dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems are not caused mainly by conditions affecting the inner ear, but by the drastically lowered level of a hormone in the body. The D hormone, the name comes from its role in dizziness healing, has an essential role in DNA normal repair. The normal metabolic activities and environmental factors cause DNA damage. This results in up to 1 million individual DNA lesions per cell per day, with serious health consequences, mainly dizziness, vertigo, and balance troubles. When there's a severe D hormone deficiency in the body, the DNA is temporarily damaged, the normal repair processes fail, and balance problems, vertigo, and dizziness occur. The D hormone is also related to calcium absorption and regulates magnesium absorption too. As magnesium is one of our primary electrolytes, helping to maintain blood pressure, cellular energy production, and insulin sensitivity, an optimized D level in the body helps prevent many chronic diseases, including cancer, insulin-dependent diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and autoimmune diseases. This is a most gratifying fact. It gives us hope that soon dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems, as well as other severe diseases, will soon be a thing of the past. Unfortunately, today, many Americans are found to be in a serious D deficiency state. Over 95% of senior citizens in the U.S. may probably be deficient, along with 85% of Americans unaware of the low level of D hormone in their blood. Cases of D hormone deficiency are seen more frequently in individuals with poor dietary habits or having more stress in their lives than they need. Our usual food doesn't provide the amount of D hormone our bodies require. Its optimal level in the body can only be restored by natural means. We get most of this hormone in a way that doesn't suit everyone, depending on factors like health issues or age. Proof: a recent study published in European Archives of Otorhinolaryngology conducted on patients with benign postural vertigo with no cause such as head trauma or ear surgery has found that low levels of D hormone are related to BPPV. Recently, researchers of the New York Medical College, coordinated by the reputed Dr. H. Dorota Halicka, revealed that there is ample evidence that activated D hormones provide protection against oxidative DNA damage and has an important role in DNA repair. Unfortunately, these studies, just like many others, have never been made mainstream information. All this scientific evidence, the studies he made on his own, and the experience he has gained when working for Intercosmos, helped Mr. Vertigo to devise a specific therapeutic protocol he uses to treat the root causes of dizziness, vertigo, and other balance disorders. His method provides protection against DNA damage and helps you have an optimized, activated D hormone level in your body in a natural way. Your dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems may be a thing of the past in as little as 14 days. So what does this mean for my balance problem, I asked. It was obvious that I was a case of D deficiency. First, Mr. Vertigo assured me that for all of those in my situation, the low level of D hormone is the root cause of dizziness, vertigo, and other balance troubles. But there's a way to wipe out the problems without side effects, he added. He assured me that the treatment could end my nightmare forever. I was to apply the method for 2 weeks, and I would be treated for good. He opened the top drawer of his desk and took out several handwritten sheets with explanations and drawings and handed them to me. There were clear instructions on what I had to do in the coming 2 weeks, by days and by hours. Then I was sent home, without any other advice except to follow his protocol. In just 14 days, just strictly putting into practice his method, by days and by hours, my dizzy spells disappeared completely. It was as if I'd never had them before. I couldn't believe it. Mr. Vertigo's method not only treated my unbearable dizzy spells, but also gave me back the life I had before the illness. And all this without having to take any pill during those 2 weeks of treatment, without any other doctor to have me tested, and without any other complex surgical procedures. My wife told me I seemed to be a different person from the one she lived with lately. I felt alive and awake, full of energy, and I was ready to do a lot of things. But then, I started thinking. My own experience has convinced me that Mr. Vertigo's method also has benefits for non-astronaut populations, such as the elderly or people with balance disorders. I realized that during my hospitalization, I had met so many people who needed help. I had to share this method with them, if only I knew how. I called Mr. Vertigo and kindly asked him to help me do something about it. I admit it wasn't easy to convince him, but I did it, and he eventually accepted. Because he had little time to spare, we had to work together to put on paper the method we titled The Ultimate Vertigo Protocol, a step-by-step guide to naturally treat dizziness and other balance problems. There's really nothing like this out there. This program will finally give you the comfort and hope you've been waiting for. It will help you say farewell for good to all your balance problems. No gimmicks, no trickery, just a scientific, research-based method to naturally and safely get rid of dizziness, vertigo, and any other balance problems. The Ultimate Vertigo Protocol is a step-by-step guide to fight off dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems without unleashing chemical warfare on your body. Instead of seeking out a doctor and then another one, instead of being subjected to screenings and tests when you're getting increasingly dizzy and nauseous, you can now treat yourself in the comfort of your own home. You'll feel as good as you ever did before the first attack in just 14 days. Imagine a life where there's no hesitation when you have to get into a car, plane, or boat, where you're no longer afraid of a new vertigo attack, where you have no fear of a sudden emergence of a new balance loss episode. Maybe all of this seems like a dream to you now, but it will come true if you strictly follow Mr. Vertigo's method of treatment. Some of the patients who befriended me during my hospitalization agreed to try Mr. Vertigo's revolutionary therapeutic protocol and recently wrote to say, I had a blood test and MRI scans and Epley maneuver and hearing tests in the hospital where they put me because I've been dizzy for 2 years. 2 neurologists looked at me and decided I should take pills and then undergo surgery. I was sick of all the medication they tried to shove down on me, epilepsy drugs and beta blockers, that made no difference whatsoever, except they made me feel depressed. When Robert told me about Mr. Vertigo and his wonderful method. In 2 weeks, with 15 minutes a day of self-treatment, I've become a new me. No dizzy spells, no headaches, no tiredness. I'm perfectly fine now, and I still can't believe the solution was so simple. All I had to do was optimize the D levels in my body in the natural way without chemicals or worse, the terrifying scalpel. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Mr. Vertigo. Ruth Jordan, Cleveland. It was Mr. Vertigo's method that saved me. I agreed to try it and felt the improvement beginning to manifest from the 3rd day on. I learned to address what is underneath the symptoms, not just the symptoms themselves. After 2 weeks of applying Mr. Vertigo's method, my symptoms disappeared completely. I feel energetic. I'm no longer afraid to get out of the house, to go anywhere. You know what they say. Meds can definitely help. You just have to find the right one for you. And that's Mr. Vertigo if you suffer from dizziness, vertigo, or any other balance problems. Mark Martin, Denver. The Ultimate Vertigo Protocol is a unique method which shows you the way to wipe out the root cause of dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems without side effects. Therefore, it cannot be compared to anything else because there's no other similar treatment. All the recommendations and exercises that make up the treatment, explained in detail by day and hour, are proven to improve your balance disorders without fundamentally changing your lifestyle. The simple act of applying these recommendations and exercises for 14 days will deliver significant results that you can now only dream of. They include unconventional methods and techniques, natural remedies including nutrition, diet, and exercise that play a crucial role in optimizing the D level in your body so as you won't have any balance problems. At the end of every single day of treatment, you'll be shocked to see how well you feel. Your dizzy spells and constant nausea will spread like the thick smoke in a smoker's room when you open the window. Mr. Vertigo and I wrote this book using simple day-to-day words, no medical jargon, and no big lifestyle changes. Janet Kay from Washington, D.C. recently wrote to say, "Grateful is all I can say about how I feel now. I've been dealing with extreme dizziness for more than 2 years, and before applying Mr. Vertigo's method, I had seen many doctors and had every test possible, with little explanation. I felt like they were just guessing, and that made me feel like crazy. With this simple cure, I got on my feet again, as if I'd never suffered from this terrible condition. It's not only about having a positive attitude, but also about learning to optimize and activate a hormone that works wonders for my body. I didn't even know it's so powerful as to make me dizziness-free at last. Thank you, Mr. Vertigo. I guarantee that after 2 weeks of treatment, you'll wish you had known about Mr. Vertigo's method a long time ago. I know it because that's how I felt. As for the price of our work, tell me, how much would you be willing to pay to get rid of the constant dizziness that's ruining your life? To get rid of the pills that make you feel worse rather than help you? Or to avoid the surgical procedures that may leave you deaf for good? How much would you be willing to pay for the Ultimate Vertigo Protocol? To become dizziness-free 2 weeks from right now. I'm asking you this because after we finished writing the book, Mr. Vertigo and I both agreed we should make it available to any American who suffers from dizziness, vertigo, or any other balance problem for an extremely affordable price, because it's not the money that we're after. I got back to my old job, and the fact that I got rid of the problem that some time ago was ruining my life gives me now all the energy I need. And as I told you, Mr. Vertigo has everything he needs after so many years of hard work. Therefore, forget about emptying your pockets and listen up, because I've got some really good news for you. Initially, we decided to price the Ultimate Vertigo Protocol at $97 to cover all the writing, research, development, and publishing costs. But when we realized that many of those who desperately need this revolutionary therapeutic protocol are adults of a certain age, we have decided to drop the price to just $37. You probably wonder why we're applying such a big discount. Mr. Vertigo knows for sure how much his method is worth. However, Mr. Vertigo decided to pay the difference himself, out of his pocket, to be sure that his discovery will come to the public attention and won't end left forever under lock and key in a drawer. He thinks that the happiness and health of his patients is worth more than money can buy. So go ahead and take advantage of this very special opportunity. But I warn you, this promotion won't last forever. If you leave this page, then I cannot make any guarantee this will still be up. So make the right decision and don't miss this opportunity. Click the Add to Cart button below to lock in this special pricing. We're so confident in the method that we're doing something that no one else has dared to do. We are so confident with the results you'll achieve that we're backing your order with a rock-solid 60-day money-back guarantee. Basically, if you're not entirely happy with your order and the brilliant results Mr. Vertigo's program will give you, then just send us a quick email and we will refund every single penny paid, no questions asked. In conclusion, if you don't notice any progress applying Mr. Vertigo's treatment, I want to refund you. I want you to let us know this hasn't worked for you. That's how confident we are in the effectiveness of this program. The risk is entirely on us. So what are you waiting for? Enter your email address and click the Add to Cart button below. After payment, you'll receive an instant downloadable PDF file which contains the entire Ultimate Vertigo Protocol. You're at a crossroad now with basically 3 choices. First, you could decide to do nothing. Extinguish that glimmer of hope and try to accept that you will suffer from dizziness and vertigo the rest of your life. Expensive drugs will continue to burn a hole in your pocket month after month in the vague hope to keep embarrassing outbreaks at a minimum. Option number 2 is to apply what you've learned and try to figure out by yourself how to treat your dizziness without any side effects. Unless you're a natural healing practitioner with tens of years of experience, this is a bad idea. Even Mr. Vertigo worked years to discover an inexpensive treatment protocol to optimize the level of this hormone. Do you really think it's worth reinventing the wheel instead of pushing the pedal to the metal on the highway of healing? Why not simply go with option number 3, as more than 41,430 other former dizziness victims have? Take advantage of the Ultimate Vertigo Protocol 100% risk-free and let it help you get rid of your dizziness, vertigo, and other balance problems quickly, naturally, and without any side effects. Follow in my footsteps and become yet another of our countless success stories. Just click the Add to Cart button below and download the protocol to your computer. You owe it to yourself to experience the power of this program. Press the Add to Cart button below. Still here? No problem. It's perfectly normal to have some questions about this groundbreaking program, so I'll run through some of the questions that I'm asked most often. Robert, how fast do I get access? Since the Ultimate Vertigo Protocol is delivered in electronic form, you get access instantly. This means you're just minutes away from taking the first steps to resolve your balance trouble. Isn't this the same information I can find all over the internet? Definitely not. First of all, the information you can find online is chaotic. There's no advice on when to do what or why. With every text or post you read, you will become more confused. Mr. Vertigo's Ultimate Vertigo Protocol contains clear instructions of what to do. Everything is explained in simple English. Don't forget that most people who post online have a vested interest in selling their goods and services. You can't rely on what they say. Mr. Vertigo's protocol has proven to work, and even if you're the exception from the rule, you risk nothing because you're just test driving it and can always get your money back. Is the method easy to follow? Yes, 100%. There is nothing strenuous or complicated, and everything is explained step by step. I'm over 65. Do you think this method will work for me? Yes, absolutely. The hormone responsible for balance troubles is present in your body from birth and doesn't deplete from there. But its level decreases with age, leading to dizziness and vertigo. Will this work for anyone? No. There are some rare cases in which the treatment protocol will not work, and this is why I've put this strong guarantee in place. If you belong to the unlucky few who don't see immediate benefits after starting this protocol, you will receive your money back. Every cent of it, and without any silly questions. I'm pregnant. Can I still follow your protocol? While this treatment is completely safe and without any side effects, Mr. Vertigo advises pregnant women to start the protocol after they've given birth. It's always better to be overly cautious when the life of an unborn child is concerned. Just benefit from the current discount now and start your treatment later. I have allergies. Is this still safe? The general answer is yes. None of the substances used in the Ultimate Vertigo Protocol are known to cause or aggravate any allergies. It's always best to check with your physician since everyone is different and he knows your case better than I do. How fast will I see results? This largely depends on what stage you're in. If you have permanent bouts of dizziness or vertigo, you will see results much more quickly than when those episodes are less frequent. Personally, I've seen results after the first day. Mr. Vertigo advises to give it at least a week, better 3 weeks if you haven't had an outbreak in a while. Keep in mind, you're protected by a full 60-day get-all-your-money-back guarantee, so you can't lose. Are there any monthly bills or subscriptions? No. Your purchase for the Ultimate Vertigo Protocol is a single, safe, one-time fee. Those are the most common questions. If you're still wondering, the only way to find out is click the Add to Cart button below. Again, I'm Robert Muke. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I can't wait to hear about your success.